and welcome back. Red-Rupee here, calling the shots for tonight as always with some more Dawn of War 2 Elite Mod action. We've got a sweet 2-on-2 here for you tonight. A pair of sorcerers facing off, apparently using their tomes of subjugation to take a force commander and farseer into battle as they duel for the true title of Sindri Trollface. That's a throwback, of course, to Maestro Cartella. Hope you're doing well, whatever you're up to these days. Anyways, Cornholio and SneeryThug as the Force Commander Chaos Sorcerer duo, and then HerHateMyWeapon, which I believe is some sort of emo band, facing off alongside with the Turtle King up top. Sorcerer already going for that quick cap in the center, wants to lock down that victory point before any shenanigans can go down with that pesky guard tower in the center. Shouldn't be too bad considering there aren't any ranged forces, or ranged heroes on the field. Things like the Warp Spider and Tech Marine can really take terrible advantage of that garrison. Right now we see the Chaos Sorcerer already putting down some hurt on some dire Avengers, looking for some trouble. Here comes some Doom Bolts, maybe finishing up the squad, taking down 3 models nice and quick there. But ultimately, looks like that Sorcerer is going to have to fall back. Opposing Sorcerer now in the garrison up top, making sure those tactical Marines can't get in there. Of course, the Sorcerer itself isn't going to be able to take much advantage of that garrison, but can at least lock it down and prevent those attacks from going in. Getting a decap on the power node with that Force Commander. Meanwhile, the blue team already has both of theirs noded up, so they cannot get quickly decapped. However, these tactical Marines, kind of a bit of an error. Probably not worth ceding the point over here to get that Force Commander. Oh wait, no, they decided to not go for breaking that power node. Instead, going to isolate this Force Commander without the help of his army. Has to be careful with the potential battle cry, though. I'm not sure if that's still on cooldown or not, but it's not going down right yet. Force Commander getting knocked on his back while Doom Bolts hit those tactical Marines, and everyone's getting sent on home on the Space Marine side, and it looks like, oh wow, Eldar doing a good job pushing back on top of that. Doom Bolt's not nearly as effective this time around on those Banshees. As it stands, though, it still looks like they're going to be able to push off those Chaos Space Marines. Has to be careful. Oh no, more Doom Bolts going down. No Doom Blast from the Heretics, however. And Banshees down to 3 models, keeping both the Sorcerer and the Chaos Space Marines tied up. Might even get a kill on this Sorcerer. Quick victory there for the Eldar players. The Chaos Space Marines do have to fall back, even losing another model. A decisive set of initial engagement wins here in the formative stages of this game. I'm surprised that the Farseer and Banshees actually fell back right there instead of, did something happen up here? Maybe he spotted those Havocs before they came up onto the field, but they could have at least, I feel like, knocked out this power node. As it stands right now, red team up by about 50 points after those initial little skirmishes there, and pretty standard builds all around. We're actually seeing some Rangers on the field for Turtle King and double Chaos Space Marines. Only 1 squad of Space Marines and the backup Havocs here for the Sorcerer, which is probably going to be more important against that Eldar player, trying to make sure he can keep those Banshees and Farseer a bit under control. Of course, these Rangers are going to make that more difficult than he would otherwise have seen. Everything's quiet for the time being. Oh man, we have Chaos Space Marines moving under the secret Cinch worship there. Oh no, Scouts completely with that grenade. And now 2 squads of Space Marines have no choice but to fall back with those Heretics coming around the corner there. Oh, and we come up north just in time to see that Force Commander get sniped right off his feet. And I think that won't be too big a deal. The Chaos Sorcerer is going to be moving in here shortly, I'm sure, to pick up that allied commander. But 401 to 492 right now. Red team having a pretty solid lead, at least on victory points and map control for the time being. We can see doing pretty well on power as well. The Blues haven't been able to control that southern power node of theirs pretty much for the entirety of the intro of this game. Now we see, oh man, grenades coming in, but it looks like, oh no, I was going to say they whiffed, but they did not. The Doom Bolts, however, kind of hitting at the top and bottom of the stairs there. Always kind of difficult to fire those artillery-like projectiles down stairs or down embankments, all that kind of stuff. Shooting down is actually kind of a difficult thing to do in terrain in this game. Otherwise, in some others, of course, it's a little more effective to be on the high ground. Banshee's getting caught out of position. I'm not sure what all these Dire Avengers are going for. Are they looking for a grenade toss? One goes down, the second, both going down on the... Oh man, if the first one had gone off and then the second one, that would have been beautiful. But as it stood, all they really did was waste a couple of models and throw down their grenades for no real purpose. At least I would have expected to see those grenades go on separate squads. Speaking of grenades, a nice little dodge there by the Chaos Heretics, turning to engage on these upgraded scouts with their Sarges and shotguns, but still managing to lock down and shut out SneeryThug from his natural power node, finally getting a little assistance. This Force Commander that's been doing some crunches here in the center of the map from his Chaos Sorcerer ally. Not often you'd see a Force Commander accepting help from a Heretic like that, but it looks like he has no choice. Two lone Heretics, one with the Aspiring Champion here, spotting those Rangers as the Force Commander gets picked up and turns to engage. Sorcerer not going to be able to do much against these Rangers. Those Rangers can probably just bleed him dry if they're not careful. But there is a sneaky webway gate way up north from Turtle King here. Turtle King is pretty effective at using those webways in team games. I've played against him a few times in recent days, and man, his Eldar are always coming from the last direction you want. He's a very inconvenient nemesis to be dueling against in a lane, let me tell you that much. 299 to 484 right now. The red team not feeling much pressure at all, but then getting a little too brazen here. Those Dire Avengers getting knocked down. Grenade completely whiffs, unfortunately. And a successful rout from that Chaos Sorcerer. That Fire Sword making short work of that light Eldar infantry all over the place. Force Commander now moving in with an injured squad of Tactical Marines. That archway completely blocking our view of the action. But now plenty going down here with that Tier 2 Space Marine, or Chaos Space Marine force with those Aspiring Champions on both of those squads. Probably going to be able to rout this Force Commander on their own. That's a lot of potential damage coming in there. And even in melee, once they get that Aspiring Champion and his Chainsword, as some pretty reasonable damage. Grenade going down, spiking right on top of them. Oh my gosh, only 2 Heretics remain after that bullseye grenade spike. Unfortunately, the Scouts aren't going to be able to deal with this kind of firepower, and even in that garrison, that's way too much to deal with. Grenades going down on this big pile of Eldar. Lots of nice AoE damage coming down from 2 squads of Chaos Heretics on top of that suppression coming in here. Grenades going down, but not really accomplishing much. Losing so many models. Turtle King's just bleeding constantly so far. The red team had been doing well, but suddenly feeling a little pressure on the north end of the map here, as Turtle King has been unable to really get a good push against this Chaos Sorcerer. Levitation Field going down right now, not going to accomplish too much. We'll get some nice damage going down on those Heretic squads, but not really enough to kill any models. May even lose the Farseer right here, down to 1 HP. The Doom Bolts would have sealed the deal if she had managed to get out of range of those Heretics. But constant damage coming in from these Rangers. But still, despite being on the lead going into Tier 2, the red team spent so much requisition and power on other upgrades. Oh my gosh, look at this Thunderhammer go. We saw not one, but both squads upgraded to the Mark of Khorne, getting that nasty melee powerful, oh my gosh. Unfortunately, the only ones that seem to be going down are those Khorne Marines, because the Force Commander responded in kind with that Thunderhammer, and if there's anything that can deal with 2 squads of Khorne Space Marines, it's a Force Commander with a Thunderhammer. One more swing going down, gonna be able to finish off those Heretics, and despite losing a squad of Tactical Marines, I feel like just that Force Commander alone against 2 squads of Khorne Space Marines is going to be quite the threat. In these last few minutes, the victory points have just about evened out, and the blue team now threatening another triple cap. Although I guess the red team does have that north point under control, so I maybe jumped to the gun there. Great Cornholio sitting with a huge pile of requisition. He needs to get something on the map in Tier 2 here. SneeryThug just going for a Devastator Plasma Cannon, and no vehicles for either side. I guess both sides have been fairly a little power starved here. Although that's not true. I guess it was primarily the blue team that was unable to hold their southern power and are just now finally starting to get a grasp on that. But all is quiet for the time being. I'm surprised that we don't see a Blood Crusher or something like that on the map. I guess just those Plague Marines alone are enough to dissuade a light vehicle at this point, but I think there's enough support on the field. Oh my gosh, look at all this, that virulent dark flames going down on all that Eldar infantry. The Rangers just barely surviving the retreat through that, and then the Dire Avengers walking into it, losing about 4 models just going through that. That was a big misplay. I don't know why he thought he needed to push forward there when he could have just easily looped around up that northern stairway there instead, but losing a lot of models just to go through that. Force Commander looks like he's still proving to be quite a threat to those Khorne Space Marines. We come down here to see those in full retreat. Let's see, will that Plasma Devastator escape? It looks like it will, just barely. One more swing of that Flame Sword could have been it for that squad. Cornholio now bringing a Chaos Dreadnought onto the field. One squad of Plague Marines is definitely not enough to deal with that. That is a truly potent walker, even coming out of the gate with that assault cannon that comes by default on those Chaos Dreadnoughts. Going to be a real threat to all this light Eldar infantry, and I guess to probably these all this melee for the Chaos Space Marines down here. I like the idea of going for this melee heavy build, but against the Force Commander, you have to have some sort of control. I like it on this side of the map because there are all these walls and sight blockers and everything else, but as it stands right now, the Force Commander with that Thunderhammer is a real pain. I'm surprised we haven't seen a Devastator or something like that on the field for SneeryThug, but instead he's going just straight for that Dreadnought. So we're about to have not one but 2 Dreadnoughts on the field. The first one already out here causing some trouble for these Eldar players. And despite these Banshees trying to put down that that melee damage, along with the Altar, finally dislodging that Havoc. There's just nothing out here that can really threaten this Dreadnought on its own. Altar did manage to get that Havoc kill right there, but these dual grenade launching heretics being such a huge pain. Oh my gosh, and look at that grenade! Obliterating half a dozen heretics in the blink of an eye. Chains of Torment went down, which is a perfect complement to those dual grenade launcher build that we just saw here. Locking down those Eldar infantry and forcing them to take the full brunt. Oh my gosh, what happened here? I don't even know what happened on the back end here. But the Force Commander fell. It looked like some Devastators did as well. And at least a couple of those Khorne Space Marines. Plague Marines now putting some more pressure, ever present on that southern blue team gen farm. But finally the Blues getting a little bit of a response here. Obliterating and decapping one of those generators. We'll probably get 1 or 2 more before the Eldar player can really do much about this. Suddenly, the red team feeling the hurt of not having any anti-vehicle in the face of 2 very staunch defenders in the ways of these 2 Dreadnoughts. 260 to 305. Blue team still struggling to keep or even gain a victory point advantage. But they've been struggling to keep it even at this point. Snagging a quick punch in the back on that squad down there. And now we have a webway gate on the south end as well. So the Eldar player, I mean, not just the Eldar player, anyone can use those webway gates, but the webway gate's now able to go from the base to either exterior point. And we could even just see the Eldar hop in that gate and come over here and wreck these Chaos Space Marines with the band. That's exactly what's going to happen. Let's see it. Blue team is heading into Tier 3, however, while the red team's already hurting for anti-vehicle support. Oh wow, he popped out back at base. I'm not sure why he didn't head north. There's very little up here that can slow him down, especially now with that Havoc off the field. Has to be very careful. These grenade barrages coming right in, gonna knock over the entire army right now, and at least buy some time. Oh wow, we're gonna have a Scene Shrine going up here shortly as well. And now Banshee's screaming in with the help of that Altar, now tying up one of these grenade-launching heretic squads, forcing off Chaos Space Marines, and pinning these heretics in a precarious position, especially with the rest of these Eldar forces now moving in. Down south, we can see 2 squads of Plague Marines now, along with these Chaos Space Marines with the Mark of Khorne. Lots of melee to tie up any supporting squads, and now with not 1 but 2 squads of Plague Marines. that's definitely enough to at least threaten a lone dreadnought. So the blue team's going to have to be very careful with how they choose to engage right here. Corn Marines now moving in. Dark Flames going down yet again. That crazy AoE going to be able to eliminate that Chaos Shrine. No problem. And was that a squad that just went down? Was that one of the heretics? I believe it was. Cornholio has so much requisition, though. It's not even a problem. Man, getting flanked by Corn Space Marines, those are some of the most potent retreat-killing squads I've seen. Oh, wow, even taking out that Sorcerer. Of course, it will be easy to res, but the Force Commander's busy on the south end right now, so that Sorcerer's going to be out for at least a little while. And of course, I mean, it's not completely for naught. You get plenty of red for that. You get experience on your squads. So many gens have gone down this game. Both sides now struggling to keep up those northern power farms, and this time the southern farms are sitting pretty.
Your forces obey you. Your allies have claimed.
Where is that plasma dev? Oh, the plasma dev's down here, shooting up. I heard it. I thought it was up north. 193 to 295 with the red team. Still sitting pretty with a 100-point lead.
Your units fulfill your command.
Probably no small part in contributing to that are these webway gates. Now some more range damage on the field. Turtle King with a good mix of forces here, but has to be very wary of all the potential AoE here. Dreadnought needs to make sure it doesn't get caught out of position with a haywire grenade right here coming down from these Warp Spires. Will disable the Dreadnought, but I don't think there's any anti-vehicle for him to convert that into a kill. Either way, the Sorcerer's going to play it safe, teleports it back to base. And now we're seeing a Siege Dread out here as well. So in addition to the two squads of Plague Marines, we now have a Siege Dreadnought as well. We can see in the face of those Plague Marines, we got an Assault Cannon upgrade on this Space Marine Dreadnought, which I think is exactly what you want to do. Once those two squads of Plague Marines come down, you don't want to be threatening to get that Dreadnought overextended in melee range or anything like that. Good skill on that squad. What was that? A squad? Was that Dire Avengers, I believe, that went down? Or was that the Scouts of SneeryThug? I'm not sure what died right there. I was busy talking about other stuff, but oh my gosh. All this rocket damage, they can just destroy generators so very quickly. A triple cap again for the red team, but Cornholio and his ally, SneeryThug, sitting in tier 3, about to bring a Chaos Predator onto the field, but I'm not even sure if that's going to be very potent at the moment, considering all the anti-vehicle that's out here. I mean, there's such tricky firing lanes in this that Predators aren't terribly great on this map. Bullseye coming in from that Plasma Devastator, even lining up that infantry for an Assault Cannon barrage. Everything on the red team now suddenly taking crazy range damage. Corn Space Marines getting obliterated by a second Plasma Devastator shot. We're even seeing some summoning circular bloodletters coming in here as well, along with Assault Terminators from that Force Commander, and suddenly the tier 3 advantage of the blue team coming out in full force. Obliterating that Siege Dread. No problem at all. Taking out a hero as well. And a terrible, terrible engagement there for the red team. Losing a Dreadnought, losing a hero deep in enemy territory, so we're not going to see that get rezzed anytime soon. It's way back here. Dreadnought even threw it further back into enemy territory. Seeing the Chains of Torment go down once again, but ultimately to no effect. Just stalled out a little bit for the red team. But the Blues have a commanding hold now, if you were to ask me, on the center point. They have two Dreadnoughts, all but a little beat up, now throwing down another Chaos Shrine here. And these Chaos Terminators, along with the Force Commander, can make such short work of this Chaos Army. I mean, these Corn Marines can do some serious damage to these Assault Terminators, but with the help of that Force Commander constantly knocking them over, and then some Plasma Space Marines on top of all that. Let's see how this goes. This is just a big bloody melee right now. But yeah, you can see that these Corn Marines are nasty, but they just can't stand up to the Force Commander and his Assault Terminators. Oh my gosh, even a beautiful support shot coming in with that Plasma Devastator, knocking them down on retreat. Unfortunately, the Assault Space Marines didn't choose to engage right there and chased off the Plague Champions. I think they could have finished off that squad. Oh, what is that? A whirlwind on the field now. Oh my gosh, a Great Unclean One. It looks like the Predator did get canceled, and we saw a Great Unclean One coming out, which I think is probably the right choice. I don't think a Predator is what they need right now, although they do need a little more map presence. I think Cornholio needs maybe another squad or two just to help with getting the map back under control, because they're down to almost double-digit VPs, sitting at just 104 to 210 as the Eldar again obliterates this gen farm. How many gens have gotten destroyed right now? Great Unclean One throwing down that big nasty Plague Stomp. And even in the face of all that, it looks like the Eldar was trying to get that last generator, but that could have been so perilous right now. Oh my gosh, 2 Chaos Shrines. Banshees in a lot of trouble. Well, they just retreated through all of that. Didn't even care. More Dark Flames coming in. That is going to touch the Sheen Shrines as well, so it'll obliterate at least one of those shrines. This Plasma Devastator's been really putting in some work. HerHateMyWeapon says, I'm out of ideas. This is a tricky thing to engage. I think, I mean, when faced with Assault Terminators, you always kind of want to get a tank or something on the field, but he's kind of stuck in Tier 2 right now. The red team, sitting with just a single lone generator, does control one of the natural power nodes, but you can see, just looking at the power income, they are slightly ahead after taking out this northern gen farm. But so far, they're just way behind. You can see both players have spent a lot of power in Tier 2. And we're seeing, again, we've been seeing Turtle King pop in and out of this webway gate, but kind of just standing in a pile after that. I kind of expect once Eldar pop out of a webway gate, they're just gonna scream into a great position and start taking stuff out. Plague Marines actually do some pretty reasonable damage to these Assault Terminators, but you can't be engaging those one-on-one unless you have a squad that's going to be able to put out that damage. He should just be kind of engaging with the Plague Marines, I feel like, and then using those Corn Marines to kind of hang back and protect that ranged squad. We do have a nice long-range anti-armor option in the form of that Fire Prism now on the map, but does have to be very careful. We saw one Hunter Killer come in and take that Fire Prism down pretty easily, and the Chaos Dreadnought could find that thing out of position pretty easily as well. Both of these Dreadnoughts kind of hanging back a little bit in the face of that Fire Prism, that kind of artillery support tank, as it were. But suddenly this game's looking pretty even up, and I'm not sure. Oh my gosh, a Land Raider coming onto the field here? I think the Reds have just, in these past few engagements, getting led out. He's been losing so many Corn Marines here. Oh my gosh, there go 2 more. These Assault Terminators have been largely uncontested, and this is a great map for them. Again, this down south, like I was saying, it's so good for melee forces because there's all these line of sight blockers, and you can choose to engage kind of when and where is advantageous once you have this victory point. So it's going to be very difficult for the Reds to get back into this, and now he's just throwing squads away. It looks like he might lose this Plague Marine squad. He falls back, but is it going to be too late? 40 HP remaining. Those Warp Spiders may have even been able to teleport in and finish that off. Warp Spiders coming down, maybe being able to take out this stranded Dreadnought, now completely unlocked with that Haywire Grenade. Terminators getting teleported out by that Sorcerer. Very fortunate, because they almost certainly would have gone down right now. 65 to 104 with a 2-0 cap against the red team. Altar's going to be able to start capping the middle, perhaps, if these Plasma Devs allow it to happen. But the combination of Plasma Devastator and Whirlwind make it very difficult for the red team to capture. Let's see, will it hit in time? Just short of preventing that decap. The decap goes down, the victory points stagnate for the time being. But with a Land Raider on the field, what is the red team to do? There are 2 Plague Marines on the field and a Fire Prism, but is that going to be enough to deal with both a Great Unclean One and a Land Raider Redeemer now out here? That is some serious bulk in the center of the map right now. Bulk and sustainability, really, because that Land Raider, once it squeezes through this archway that's just barely big enough for that giant mega tank, that forward operating post that is the Land Raider Redeemer. They'll be able to reinforce there, plus we have this artillery barrage constantly coming down. We have the Great Unclean One, which can heal under worship if it so chooses, being a demon. It's getting beat up, but this thing can just take so many hits, and the red team's struggling to hold on to points at this stage. The Dreadnought up north managed to take out that Warp Spider squad, as we saw a moment ago. And now a full retreat coming in from the Chaos Marines. It looks like the blue team, after struggling so much in the beginning of the match, has managed to successfully wall off the red team almost completely. Again, we're seeing up north the Eldar trying to cap this point, but a summoning circle along with that default Chaos Dreadnought is all we needed. Oh wow, a Chaos Predator up here now, in addition to everything else we've seen. This kind of push into Tier 3 I didn't think was going to be enough to work out for the blue team, but suddenly there's just nothing the Reds can do. They kind of stagnated in Tier 2 with this double Corn build, which was terribly effective in the moment. But once that Force Commander got the hammer shuts that down so hard. A great build for this map, but a terrible build if you don't have a vehicle to really threaten that Force Commander with. He can just stick with that Thunder Hammer. And the red team really only had a vehicle once. They had that Siege Dreadnought, but by the time it got onto the field, the blues were Tier 3 and ready to drop those Assault Terminators, which make a pretty short work of those big old walkers. 104-0 in the final of that game. And I thought the red team had that so under control, but there was just a complete turnaround once Tier 3 happened. And some great support from the blue team in general. Just the Plasma Devastator and Whirlwind just locked down the center of the map about 2/3 into the game. And I don't think the Reds ever really took it back from that point on. And even with these webways, which were great at supporting either side of the engagement, it was just too little too late after that huge momentum swing. Anyways, oh man, a 2v2. That's the first 2v2 I've done in a long time. I really enjoyed 2-on-2 matches, actually, but if you have any, feel free to send them. I don't see many of those posted on the Elite Mod, the logs that happen over there at dawnofwar.info, but send them my way if you've got them. Anyways, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on all the social medias, the Instabooks, the Facegrams, all those fun things. This has been Red Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.